morning, sir. Morning, ma'am. I'm Alex Bonee. Welcome to my project. So, for my thesis, I've chosen a think tank on environment science. So, I will start my presentation with what is a think tank.
What is a think tank?
Okay.
A think tank.
A think tank tries to bring in fresh, evidence-based ideas into the policymaking process.
The reason we do this is not just because we like sitting in cloistered buildings having interesting conversations, but because we can see that the world is changing really fast and that our job is to help shape progress for the future so that everybody benefits.
So, a think tank is a research institution or a research arena which tries to bring in fresh evidence-based ideas into the policy-making process. So, it performs researches and advocacy topics based on three categories, that is social, economic and scientific aspects. So, considering the present conditions of the world and what the people are dealing with presently, the think tank which I am proposing will be dealing with the topics on environment and science. So, it is going to be a center for science and development. It deals with the environment issues, poor planning of the city, and then climate shifts devastating the country. So, why a think tank in India? In the past decade, the whole world has undergone environmental crisis, be it the melting of glaciers, the Australian forest fire, or the smoke in Delhi. All have been the result of years of neglect towards the nature. It has reached an extent where only largely impacting movements can save the earth, and policymaking is one of them. Hence, there is a need of large-scale think tank which will help in research and policy making. To move ahead with the design, I have studied few case studies. One of the main limitations of taking up the project is case study, as very few of the think tanks are of this scale and easily accessible. So, I have mainly analyzed the case studies which serves the same purpose as the project. These case studies are mainly used to arrive at the area program and to gauge the type of users that will be dealt by the design. So, first case study is Takshashila Institution in Bangalore. So, Takshashila Institution is an independent and non-profit think tank of network and public policy of economics based in India. So, it is not a large property. It just consists of co-working spaces, an office, boardroom, library, AV room for webinars and podcast. It is a formal and organized space which is open to everybody to access experts in the field. And the second case study is Center for Science and Environment in Delhi. Their main aim is to research into lobbies for policy making and communicating the urgency of development to the government. This center is one of the largest think tanks for environment and science in India. These two case studies were mainly studied to understand the working of a think tank. For architectural reference, Bangalore International Center has been studied. So, this center was set up in 2003 to promote conversations and to help in showcasing local art and culture. So, it is a neutral and non-profit organization. Their main aim is to enhance dialogue and foster ideas across cultures, religions, societies and economies. And the space is very informal and is open to all. It consists of a restaurant, 2 seminar halls, common areas and an auditorium of 200 capacity, OAT and an office, library and other utility spaces. By studying these projects and visiting few others, this area program was achieved. So coming to the area requirements, I've taken library as a core. So I've subdivided library into two, that is the normal library and the digital library. And then I have gallery spaces, seminar halls, conference room, workshop spaces, podcast rooms, reception, cafeteria. And then in cafeteria also I have restaurant for 60 people and then cafe for 35 people. And then I have cottages. And then services and circulation, I have taken the think tank under educational category. So I have services I have taken to 5 to 7% and circulation of 15 to 20%. So coming to the user group, I have a Department of Education and Research. There will be various users, journalists, activists, policy makers, professionals which will be dealing with all those things. And then there will be visiting, those will be the visitors who will be coming in, which can be the public users, that is students, and then the working class, and then the tourists which will be coming, and then moreover the localites will be coming in. To go ahead with the designing process, my concept is impact of spaces on sensory experience. So the main idea of the design is to create an awareness about the importance nature through the design. To create this, the aim was to enhance the importance of nature through built structures. One of such concepts is phenomenology, where design built spaces helps in enhancing the human senses. This also helps in increasing the productivity of the user as most of his senses are active. In this time, the existing workspaces are very stagnant and there is no change in the environment. So when there is no change in sensation, there is low productivity. This also affects the health in long run. Studies show that the humans are more alert and active when most of their senses are active, and hence result in increase of productivity. So the aim is to create spaces that evoke and enhance the 5 senses of a human body, intra and inter-human connections, re-establishing the connection between the nature and the humans, in turn creating productive spaces, like how nature sounds and echoes influence our behavior in a space, and muscle memory creates an intuition of how a space can be used, like forest trails evolved into stepping stones, like how scent and taste can create memories. The IKEA uses this concept and strategically places their bakery and pastry shops right next to the billing counter, and how visual perception and colors can impact the whole functioning of a space. For example, how cool colors tend to make people move towards a wall and warmer colors move them towards the center. And then I have categorized activities into primary, secondary and tertiary, in which 50% of the activities will be by public and 36% of the activities will be by the staffs, and then 14% will happen with the residential block or by the private part. And then in primary activities I have researches that involves experts on the fields, seminars, podcasts and then webinars, and then discussions happen. And coming to the secondary activities, there will be debates, exhibitions, workspace, reading sessions. Even though the core of the design is a library, the spaces which falls under the secondary activities are major part of the design as well. Activities like these enhances the whole experience of the design. And then coming to the tertiary activities, they have recreation, leisure, accommodation, meditation, yoga and running. Inspiration zones are the zones or pockets which enhances or provides an ambience for the act of thinking. To design such a zone, I've taken these examples of spaces where people naturally think. So example like the hilltop, the showering, the cup of coffee, and then the group discussions. So the final aim is to study the subtle characteristics of these spaces. I've chosen my site in Wellington Island, Kerala, which lies between the sister cities Ernakulam and Cochin. So Ernakulam is the hub of the state, which is crowded and it is filled with IT parks, airports, metro stations, etc. It's more like a mega city. And then Cochin is calm and less crowded compared to the city. It still retains most of the natural vegetations and features around it, and it has a very unique culture unlike Ernakulam. So between these two contrasting cities lies the Wellington Island. Wellington Island is the largest artificial island in the country, and my site is in the southernmost tip of the island, which is a triangulated land where both the bridges meet, and it is separated from the island by the roadways from Cochin and Ernakulam. It is a quiet place away from the crowd of the city, even though it is in the heart of the city. It is surrounded by water on 3 sides, and the ways of access is through ferry and roadways. And then site has 2 accesses via road. It is the Edakuchi Bridge and Alexander Parapitara Bridge, a huge land of 56 acres in which bottommost 10 acres of site is taken. As you can see, the triangulated land where both the bridges meet the island is the land which bears the site. The exterior-most tip of the land is the chosen site also. And it is surrounded by water on 3 sides, and it is away from the traffic because of the buffering before the road. There is views of water all on almost 2/3 of the site boundary, and there is more vegetation on the site than comparing to the other parts, and there is more dense trees at the corners also, and there is an existing pathway which is connecting from the road to the tip of the site, which is going around the site also, and the whole site has a gradual slope towards the water, and the site falls under the CRZ2, which is coastal regulation zone, which says that 50-meter offset should be left from the high tide line and 30 meters from the road should be left. As the building falls under the educational category, I've taken maximum permissible coverage is 35%, and then maximum permissible FAR is 2.5. And these are the graphs which are explaining climatic conditions of the site. And it is a tropical climate during most of the months of the year, and it has an average annual temperature of 27.3 degrees Celsius. And these are the various views to the site from various points. So the access to this tip of the site is through a long narrow pathway which is along the water body. So this long narrow journey will act as a seat to disconnect the user from the outside world. And because the site is on the tip of the land, hence being surrounded by water on 3 sides, this also helps in creating the disconnect, and the site is sloping towards the water. And for the zoning of spaces on site, I have divided it into 3 main zones. The zone 1, it has easy access to the road, relatively public, large chunk of land, view of water on one side, and the trees are lined up on the road. And when it comes to zone 2, it is the tip of the site, gradual slope, water is surrounded on all 3 sides, great views, good amount of privacy, covered by trees, hence giving a very dynamic ambience. And the last zone 3, northwest tip of the site, away from the road, has view on one side, relatively private area, few trees that create privacy. So further I zoned the spaces on site by considering all these characteristics, and then I came up with the zoning which has zone 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. These zones have been color coded according to the level of privacy, and the same color codes are used in sections to represent the privacy level also, which goes from public to private. So considering all these points and few more, I've come up with the site plan in which the vehicular activity will be completely stopped at the entry itself, and the whole site will be pedestrianized. And in addition, the cycle tracks are also there. This will help in disconnecting from the fast-paced world on the outside, and it gives the users the time to observe and absorb the surroundings. And the project has 4 major nodes. These are the spaces that will cater to a larger number of people. It has been numbered based on the types of users. So 1 being the reception, 2nd being the common areas, 3rd is the residential area, and 4 is the office area. And for the placement of the spaces, I have considered all these aspects. That is, the office spaces, seminar halls, gallery, etc. is placed towards the north of the site, so that the shadow of the library will be casting on all these spaces, in turn keeping them cool. And the entry will lead the users to the reception, and the reception will act as a node from where the people will branch out to 3 different spaces. 1 being the public zone, 2nd being the private zone, where workspace, office, conference room is placed, and 3 being the core, the library. And we talk about the placement of the individual places. The seminar hall. The seminar hall is placed towards the land since it needs to be soundproof. Hence will anyway be closed away from the view. When it comes to the library being the core of this project, it is placed in such a way that it is easily accessible to all the other spaces also. And the office space, it is placed in such a way that it is easily accessible from the entry and gets a view towards the water body, because this is a space that is regularly used by almost the same set of people. And it is also placed opposite to the public area to keep the crowd away from the workplace. And the cafeteria is placed in such a way that the wind carries the smell of the food towards the site. And coming to the residence is placed towards the southwest side of the site, helps in keeping the space cool. Using this zoning, I came up with the site plan. The entry to the project is from here. Right when you enter, we can see a large wall hiding the entire design behind it. And as you can see, this area is designed like a forest trail and is covered in vegetation on both the sides. So right here is the information desk or the reception, and this space is designed to be narrow and create curiosity to find out what lies beyond. This opens up to a large open area, creating very contrasting feeling. And from this point, people can access three spaces, that is the gallery on the left, the library in the front, and the seminar hall on the right. Coming to the design of the gallery, they enter from this side of the gallery, which opens up into an open to sky platform. And on either sides, the walls are used to display works and installation. So this space is designed such that it have enough surfaces to have flat artworks, but also have enough platform for the installations as well. And on this side of the gallery, we have the toilets. And this stairway leads to the terrace of the gallery, which is connected to a bridge which leads us to the other side of the site. Coming to the seminar hall, the entry of the seminar hall is visually similar to that of the gallery. Here people can enter from any of these cubicles, where this entry is used as a service entry and also a small passage which is leading directly to the pavilion on the other side of the building. So when we enter, we have a technical room and a guest waiting area on the left. This seminar hall is designed to act like an amphitheater also, which has step seating, and the seatings are faced towards the stage area. Then this passage from the hall leads to an open pavilion space. There is a small coffee counter under the seating area which can be accessed from the pavilion side. So coming to the core of the design, the library covers large part of the site but has a small main entry which creates curiosity. And people enter on the first floor of the library, and right when they enter, on either sides of the passage, we have the digital library space. The digital library is a curved space which has furniture for computers and tablets. And the main form of seating here is the tables to access a computer, and there is also an additional space which is a niche on the wall which looks into the library. So this is a space where people can just pick the tablet and come sit here and chill. And when we further enter the library, there is a series of steps which gives access to the multi-level platform which acts as seating space for the traditional library. This seating also doubles up as book storage which can be accessed from either side of the platform. These staircases reach the ground where there is an entry to the ground floor of the library where audio library and indoor seating area is placed. This large area of the library contains many zones, one being the discussion zone, space for book reading session, and the silent zone, which in turn has two different kind of spaces. One being the covered cubicles and other being the open multi-level seating area. Reception and the book issuing centers are placed here, and right next to it are the toilets which can be accessed by both seminar hall and the library. There is also an entry from the seminar hall on this side. The aim of the design is to break the stereotype of a library from a closed, silent and formal space to an open, casual and flexible space, and also to connect the users within nature and give space for multiple activities and cater to various size of groups. The wind blowing from the cafeteria carries the smell of the food, which in turn will get attached with the memory of the space, hence will help in creating memories. And the use of the natural materials like timber, earth and clay will help in making the user feel comfort, and all the natural elements like the trees and the water body is placed in the direction of the wind, which in turn will create a pleasant sound around the space. The entry is made in such a way that the structure looks like a huge solid mass, but when the user enters inside, it opens up into a large open space, creating a visual contrast. The space has large height and is open without any visual barriers. This creates a sense of openness and hence opens up to a horizon of thinking. House of Thoughts. These are the cottages designed for the guest that needs to be accommodated on the site. Aim of the design is to make the space comfortable yet create space that helps inducing thoughts, to create an ambience for thinking, creating many small spaces of different quality. The residence cabin is designed with an open plan which includes areas for sleeping, small meeting, a semi-open veranda in the front, a small attic and a large bathroom. A bathroom being the highlight of the design is placed towards the water to get a great view and also will help in creating the privacy, since there will now be human activity in that area. The space is naturally lit by a skylight on the top and two large rose windows on the sides. And the materials used are clay tiles for the roofing, exposed brick walls, wooden fixtures. So these materials will create a warm, earthy atmosphere also. Due to the low and angled opening, the space just gets the reflected light, and also adding landscape elements like water and vegetation will help in creating interesting dynamic patterns inside the space. So the use of landscape elements will not just add the visual sense but also the hearing sense, like the flowing of the water, moving of the leaves because of the wind, etc. Also, by incorporating these elements inside the space will help in enhancing the feel of the nature because of another layer of the sense, that is the smell. Large openings and large cone of vision will help expanding the space and also brings the human closer to the nature. Coming to the cafeteria, this is designed to be two built spaces, one of which has a kitchen, storage space and the utility. In this cafeteria, one part is mostly used for the public and the other side is for the staff on site. There is also an outdoor seating area which faces towards the water. The cafe is placed in such a way that it has view towards the water body and the library, hence by giving a visual connection to the design. The taste sensors will help in creating the memories also. And coming to the workstation, the space is placed in such a way that the shadow of the library falls on the space. This office space is placed with a view of the water to the maximum extent. As the office is a space that will be used by the same set of people for the most time, the nature around will create the dynamism that is needed. And the use of the natural materials like timber, earth and clay will help in making the user feel more comfortable. And the entry is from the first floor where the main workspace is placed. The other part of the entry leads to a series of staircase which connects to the conference room, podcast room and the toilet on the ground floor. The other end of the workstation leads to the pavilion, and the roof of the ground floor acts as a terrace for the main workstation. To talk about the auxiliary spaces, we have two pavilions and a deck. One pavilion next to a seminar hall and the other at the tip of the site. It is an extension to the seminar hall. One part has a step seating area and the other flat land can be used as an extension to the coffee shop. And this area has access from the cafeteria and the workstation. A part of it acts as a leisure space for workstation, and the rest is an open chunk of land open for multiple activities like yoga, jogging, discussions, etc. And this leads to the jetty, which leads to the water acting as a viewpoint and ferry point. And with all these, I conclude the BrainBox. Thank you.